Last Tuesday, Jason was standing in line at Starbucks. Nothing unusual. Tall iced latte, oat milk, extra shot, about $6.75 after tax. The barista called his name. He tapped his Chase card without thinking, and while he waited for the drink, he did that thing most of us do now. He opened Amazon. Not to buy anything specific, just to look. 5 minutes later, there was a $34.99 desk gadget in his cart. Something about productivity. You've probably done this. One small swipe, one small tap, and the money just leaves quietly. Jason walked out feeling completely normal. Coffee in hand, package arriving Thursday. But zoom out for a second. Because my name is William, and I spend way too much time watching how perfectly reasonable people slowly build or quietly sabotage their financial future through totally ordinary purchases. And here's the strange part nobody really tells you. Your 20s are not defined by the big money decisions. They're shaped by a handful of purchases that either compound quietly in your favor or quietly drain your future options. Today, we're walking through 7 things worth buying in your 20s, not because they sound impressive, but because years from now, you'll be very glad you did. And yeah, some of these are probably not what you expect. 1. A simple investing habit, not a trading app obsession. Let's start with the one most people technically know about, but still delay: investing. Not day trading on Robinhood at 1 a.m., not crypto panic buying because Twitter got excited, just boring automatic investing. In America right now, the Federal Reserve reports that only about 58% of adults own any stocks at all, directly or through retirement accounts, which means almost half the country is sitting on the sidelines while time, the most powerful wealth builder, keeps moving. Jason didn't think he was behind. He told himself, I'll start when I make more. Fair, very common. But here's the quiet math most people don't feel emotionally in their 20s. If you start investing $200 a month at 25 and earn around 7% annually, you're looking at roughly $525,000 by age 65. Wait until 35 to start? That number drops dramatically, even though you only waited 10 years. Time is weird like that. A long-term Vanguard analysis found that early investors benefit more from time in the market than contribution size, meaning when you start often matters more than how much you start with. What this means for your wallet is simple. Your first investment account in your 20s isn't about getting rich fast. It's about buying time while it's still cheap. And honestly, future you will care a lot more about that than another Amazon gadget. 2. Skills that actually increase your income. This one is deeply underrated because in your 20s, most purchases feel either fun or responsible, but the smartest ones often feel slightly uncomfortable. I'm talking about career skills, certifications, courses, technical abilities, not the $997 become a millionaire in 30 days nonsense. Real marketable skills. You know what Jason did instead? He upgraded his phone. Again, another $999 cycle at the Apple Store. It felt productive. It wasn't. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Labor Statistics consistently shows that workers who add specialized skills can increase earnings by 10 to 25% over time, depending on the field. That's not hype. That's slow, real-world income expansion. Think about it this way. Jason spends $1,000 upgrading devices every 2 years, but a $600 certification that bumps his salary by even $4,000 annually, that compounds every single year he works. One purchase quietly depreciates, the other quietly expands your income ceiling. And yeah, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but I don't even know which skill pays. Fair point. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In your 20s, clarity often comes after movement, not before. 3. Your first proper emergency fund. This one is boring, almost aggressively boring, which is exactly why so many people skip it.
until life does that thing life always does. The Federal Reserve's survey of household economics found that 37% of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency with cash. 37%. That's not a small group. Jason thought emergency funds were for later adults. Then his car needed a $780 repair. Guess what happened? Credit card. At around 22% APR, which is very normal right now in the U.S. Here's how that quietly snowballs. That $780 repair, if it sits on a high-interest card and only minimum payments get made, can easily cost over $1,000 total by the time it's cleared. Same problem, different price tag. Your emergency fund in your 20s isn't just protection, it's interest prevention. It keeps normal life events from turning into expensive debt stories. And honestly, peace of mind in your 20s is wildly underrated. 4. A reliable used car, not an ego upgrade. This one might sting a little, because car culture in your 20s is emotional. You finally have income, you finally qualify, and suddenly the dealership starts looking very welcoming. Jason walked into a dealership just to look. 40 minutes later, he was staring at a $540 monthly car payment, which is, by the way, very close to the current U.S. average for new cars. You already know how this story usually goes. A long-term AAA analysis shows new vehicles lose roughly 20% of their value in the first year alone. 20%. That's not wear and tear. That's just depreciation doing its thing. Now compare that to a reliable used Honda or Toyota bought smart in your 20s. Lower payment, lower insurance, lower stress. Jason's situation, in simple terms, a $540 monthly car payment. That's $6,480 leaving quietly. And the car is still losing value while it happens. You don't need the flash in your 20s. You need mobility without financial drag. 5. Health habits that save future money. This one doesn't look financial at all, which is exactly why it matters. Gym membership, basic preventative care, decent sleep setup. A long-running study published through the CDC has repeatedly shown that preventable chronic conditions drive hundreds of billions of dollars in annual healthcare costs in the U.S. But bring this down to real life. Jason skipped the $35 monthly gym membership for years. Didn't seem important. Later, higher insurance premiums, more doctor visits, more small health expenses stacking up. Here's the quiet math. $35 monthly gym, about $420 per year. One urgent care visit alone can easily run $150 to $300 out of pocket. 2 or 3 of those in a year, and suddenly the expensive gym didn't look so expensive. Your 20s body feels permanent. It isn't. And the habits you buy now tend to follow you longer than you expect. 6. A simple budgeting system, not just mental math. Be honest for a second. You've probably told yourself, I roughly know where my money goes. Yeah, most people do, until they actually track it. A behavioral study from the National Endowment for Financial Education found that people who actively track spending are far more likely to build savings consistently, not because they earn more, because they see more. Jason finally connected his accounts to an app like Mint. First month, he was convinced nothing would change. Then he noticed something small but persistent. Random Amazon purchases, food delivery stacking, subscriptions he forgot existed. One quick snapshot from his spending: $14.99 Netflix, $9.99 random app, $22 extra delivery fees that month. Nothing felt dramatic individually, but over a year, you're suddenly staring at several $100s that quietly disappeared. Budgeting in your 20s isn't about restriction, it's about visibility. And visibility changes behavior faster than motivation ever does. 7. Relationships and experiences that expand your network. This one surprises people because it doesn't look financial on the surface, but it absolutely is. Smart travel, professional events, conferences, even just putting yourself in better rooms occasionally. A long-term Harvard Business School analysis found that professional networks significantly influence career mobility and income growth over time. Not overnight, but consistently. Jason used to skip industry meetups because the ticket was $75. Seemed unnecessary. Later, he realized many of his peers were finding opportunities through exactly those rooms. Here's the quiet comparison. $75 one-time event versus missing a referral that could increase income by thousands over time. Not every event pays off, but completely isolating yourself financially and professionally in your 20s, that has a cost most people don't see until later. Here's the thing most people misunderstand about your 20s. It's not the decade where you need to have everything figured out. It's the decade where a few smart purchases quietly change your trajectory.